I gotta say, you guys are just absolutely doing well in these costumes. And aside from the fact that we're on a live feed on the internet right now, were there any shout-outs that you guys wanted to give?
Not as of right now, unfortunately. Everyone else ditched us.
Stacy, I love you.
Another love call-out. Oh my god. I've seen you twice in this shot so far. You're crazy. But again, that's from the Chicago Comic-Con. More and more heroes just keep stopping by the booth for interviews. Thank you guys so much. Really awesome. Good job.
What is it?
Green Lantern. Did you want to do an interview? Stand right here. Should we scoot over to the left or? Yeah, let's just scoot over to the left here. Right, this is perfect. If you want to stand right there, and then we'll be facing this camera right there. Now here we are again at the Chicago Comic-Con. Now we're making the transition from a Marvel hero to a well-known DC hero. None other than the mighty Green Lantern. Now, Green Lantern, I've got to ask you a question. Other lanterns have sprouted up in the past couple of years that we've never even known of. Blue lanterns, yellow lanterns, star sapphires. There's one in particular that just sprouted up, the Black Lanterns. How do you think we're going to be able to deal with this menace floating through the universe?
Well, since though they're like based on like characters that actually been dead and just brought back to life with these black rings, it's a very interesting concept to actually pull that off instead of basically like how you usually know how they bring characters back to life by cloning or whatever. But this is more plausible. This is more believable than like the actual way of bringing back characters from the dead. I mean, even like characters like say like Aquaman or Martian Manhunter with wearing black rings, it's a scary thought. Very scary thought.
And it really is. And for those of you who haven't been keeping up with the comic book, in The Blackest Night, what's happening is that Black Lanterns are reviving dead heroes, sometimes villains, sometimes the family members of heroes. Now, one last question for the man inside, for the character itself before we get to the person behind the character. I've always wanted to do this with a Green Lantern. Can we please recite the Green Lantern oath, if you know it by heart?
Yes.
All right, ready? Brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. And the person behind the costume, what is your name, and is this your first Chicago Comic-Con here?
Name's Jonathan Wilson, and yes, it's my first time from Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I gotta say, you're doing very well in the costume. I especially like the emblem that you have down here. If we could get a camera close-up in on that. That's actually very good.
Yeah, this was made by my classmate from college that I go to.
Oh. Sorry. So, aside from all of that, are you feeling that the costume's actually working for you quite well?
Oh, yeah, well, it's actually coming a lot better now. Basically, I actually got like a little of these kind of like pantyhose that kind of cut out as for like the sleeves and like my next like modifications say we have like black sweatpants instead of like just black jeans or whatever.
Well, I gotta say again, the costume is incredibly well done. And are there any shout-outs that you wanted to give now that we're streaming live online right now?
Excelsior!
Excelsior, well said. Thank you.
All right, now we're here live at Comic-Con, Chicago Comic-Con. We are broadcasting actually from one of our neighboring booths, Motor City Comics. They were nice enough to let us mount a camera on their booth so that we could get a better, wider angle shot of the con. Now, why don't you tell us what exactly is the mission statement of Motor City Comics?
Well, we try to sell the best gold and silver age comic books available in the show. We have one of the largest selections here in the building. We specialize from comics as early as 26 on up to the present, and we try to have the best selection of graded and CGC comic books available.
All right, now for those people that are at home watching that are not at Comic-Con, that may have never been to a Comic-Con, explain Gold and Silver Age comics.
Well, Gold and Silver Age are about the time period that the books were produced. The Golden Age are the very first groups of comic books. Actually, before Golden Age, were considered the Platinum Age, and then the Golden Age. Then the Silver Age started in 1954 to about 1970. And then the modern age or Bronze Age starts after that, and then now we're in what's called the modern age of comic books. And basically, it's what comic book ages are today.
All right, what would you say is your favorite age?
Has to be the Silver Age. The Silver Age of comic books has to be the best writing, some of the most innovative artwork, and the style of the comic books and the stories themselves really changed at that point. The Silver Age has more ongoing storylines where Golden Age comics...
I'm sorry, we just need to give him a little chance to talk.
Later Cerebus and the ones you have up on the wall, are there any?
Not with us.
We'll be right back. We just need to take a quick break. They needed to ask him a question. All right, so we're back. Now, as you were saying.
Yes, the storylines for Silver Age comic books were more ongoing, where the Golden Age were more complete stories wrapped up in single issues. So the Silver Age kind of brought forth the continuity factor. And
So you're saying the Silver Age was really the maturation of the comic genre.
right, the maturation of the storyline itself.
All right, and now you have so many comics here. I see box after box after box, just tons of comic books. What would you say is A, your favorite comic book here out of all of them, and B, the most valuable that you guys are selling?
My favorite comic books happen to be the X-Men. I've always been an X-Men fan ever since I was a young kid, and the story writing and the artwork and the characters themselves have made me a fan to this day. As far as our most valuable, probably looking there at the new More Fun. It's priced at $9,500. It's the very first DC comic book.
Wow, that is amazing. Now, since you mentioned that X-Men were always your favorite, what would you say is your favorite mutant on the X-Men?
Has to be Wolverine. Wolverine, the old anti-hero hero, has always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah, as a child, Gambit was always my favorite character. I mean, Wolverine, everybody loves Wolverine. Everybody loved Wolverine, but Gambit was always kind of an antagonist to Wolverine. He was always, I mean, they were on the same team, but they had that friction there. And I mean, it even made it to the movies to where they said, we don't want to have Gambit in the movies because we already have Wolverine. Wolverine is that grizzled anti-hero. Gambit would be too much, and it always pissed me off. What were your opinions of Gambit growing up since Wolverine was your favorite character?
I think people always loved the bad guy. From Wolverine to Gambit to the Punisher, the anti-hero seems to be more of a fan favorite. Guys like Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze, and these are guys that were willing to go over the line to be a hero instead of, the classic Batman who won't kill somebody, or Spider-Man who's more passive aggressive than aggressive. Fans love aggressiveness. They love the violence in comic books, unfortunately. Stories like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, they have that kind of love triangle, the love interest, always seems to come back. Stories like Iron Man, especially in the Silver Age, tend to hit on broader spectrum issues like the drug and the alcohol abuse that Tony Stark was going through. Those made classic, great stories, and they don't do so much of that these days.
What do you think of the recent Iron Man movie? I mean, they took an actual, former drug addict, movie star, playboy. This guy actually lived the life of Tony Stark and made him Tony Stark. What did you think of that?
I thought Iron Man was probably the best comic book movie done to date. They hit on all the great aspects of who the character was, and not interested right now.
No.
We'll be right back. We have another little delay right here. You see, this is the business world right here. There are some things that just can't wait. They have comic books here that are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $10,000, and when you can't find one, you got to know exactly where it is right at that moment. And if you have to interrupt an interview, you just have to interrupt an interview. It can't wait. That's perfectly okay. Now, if we can kind of wrap this up. Now, we are a video game podcast, but I have kind of a two-parter question. You said Wolverine is your favorite X-Men. And you said that, people really like, the grisly, the violence of comics. They like, how intense they are. Tell me, what did you think of the more recent Wolverine movie? Were you disappointed that it was rated PG-13? And I'll get to the next part of the question after you answer that.
I thought the movie was good. I thought it was entertaining. I thought the movie was very entertaining as far as keeping to the history of who the character was. I thought they kind of went a little bit further away from the original origin, but as far as an entertaining movie, I thought it was good.